Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you very much, Canon Fields, members of the congregation here at Holy Trinity, General Secretary of the Democratic Labour Party in Barbados, executive members of DLP Barbados, Canada. I also want to congratulate the newly preacher, Christine. May God continue to bless you.
Thank you.
It is no secret that Barbados and Canada enjoy a warm, harmonious relationship with long-lasting roots dating back to Barbados's colonial settlement in the 17th century. The early interaction, which was based mainly on the mercantile trade, has evolved over the years into a special relationship. It's strengthened by economics, political, and cultural ties, also shared values, and a common commitment to democracy and human rights. Perhaps you are aware that back in the 1700s, Barbados, as you heard, Cannon said, traded sugar, molasses, and rum for salt, fish, and lumber. What a trade. I was told that there were some times when the guys who were handling the products if they drank the rum first, they would put on an extra amount of salt, fish, and lumber on the boat. So that would benefit Barbados. By the way, how many of us in here have never visited Barbados? Don't be ashamed to show your hand. How many of you have never? Or if I was just about to say, if you have not visited Barbados and you want to come and see me, but there's so many hands, you may have to go and see your travel agent. Canada was one of the first countries with which Barbados established formal diplomatic relations after Barbados became an independent nation in November 1966. Canada has maintained a trade office in Barbados, since 1907. However, a formal diplomatic mission was established in Bridgetown, the capital, in 1973. Barbados has maintained a resident diplomatic presence in Canada since 1967. Ever since then, Canada has been a reliable source of development assistance to Barbados. It is estimated that there are approximately 40,000 Barbadians living throughout Canada. Even in the Northwest Territory, there's one guy up there I met in 1983. And there are just over 4,000 Canadians living in Barbados. In the early 1980s, the Canadian government encouraged companies to expand outside of Canada through tax incentives. And when Canada turned its attention to the Caribbean, Barbados was seen as a business-friendly environment that already had in place a framework for international business. In 1981, Canada and Barbados signed their first double taxation agreement. That agreement became the springboard for Canadian companies to invest in Barbados. You may ask, what is the double taxation treaty about? Many Canadian businesses invest in Barbados, and depending on the level of investment, the country will charge them a tax of 0.5 to 2.5%, depending on the level of investment. Barbados is a low tax jurisdiction and not a tax haven. And once the country, Barbados, taxes that investment, when the companies want to repatriate their monies to Canada for whatever purpose, the agreement states that the Canadian government cannot tax that money because it has already been taxed in Barbados. Hence that double taxation agreement between the two countries. Today, Canadian companies have invested over 70 billion Canadian dollars in Barbados, making Barbados the third highest level of Canadian foreign direct investment after the UK and the United States of America. Wonderful for Barbados. Barbados earns over $90 million a year from taxes from Canadian investors. So you will understand how important it is for our country to have a very good relationship with your country. And it's also important for your investors to establish a good linkage with Barbados, because when you, and there are some business people in here, I can see some of them, because the business people usually look at you full in your face. Those who are not business hold their head down. But the business people, you continue to invest in Barbados because we want to continue to keep our country well. Canada has its fingerprint in many areas in Barbados. You heard Cannon Fields indicate that the airport, which is now called the Grantley Adams International Airport, was built with the use of Canadian funds. Many of you do not know that Barbados has a thriving agriculture. And our agriculture was given a boost through technical and financial assistance from Canada. We have a thriving livestock industry. We have a dairy industry where we produce our fresh milk. But do you know that in 1966, the first batch of cows, Holstein cows, were brought in from Canada? And ever since then, we've also imported all of our semen from selected bulls for our dairy animals in Barbados. I was also fortunate in 1987 to travel to Canada with a team of top-level livestock persons to select new blood stock, 160 head of cattle from Canada, and we went to London, Ontario, where we found that they were the Amish people there, and they had some of the best animals, and we selected 160 in-calf heifers. And why did we select in-calf heifers? Because when they come to Barbados, they were about maybe 3 to 5 months pregnant, and soon after that, they will give birth to their calves, and they will start to produce milk soon afterwards. Better than bringing calves and then have to grow them out, and then they become pregnant, and we have to wait for the milk production. So our dairy industry has been built on your progress, on your successes as a country. Also, I remember in 1983, we brought in a number of Anglo-Nubian goats from Canada to boost our thriving goat industry as well. You may also want to know that we have a thriving pig industry, and we are self-sufficient in fresh pork, production of fresh pork. But for the consumption of hams and bacon and other pork products, we import a sizable portion of pork, special cuts, and they all come from Canada packers. So you imagine how important you are to us. As well as for our livestock industry, we import all of our corn and soya to be manufactured into livestock feed, and all of it is imported from Canada. That is the beautiful relationship that exists between ourselves. But I want very briefly to address the fact that many years ago, many of our Barbadians traveled to Canada, and that relationship, that position became, it was due mainly to the relationship that existed between two persons who Cannon Field referred to earlier, who studied economics together at a university in London, and who were to become prime ministers of their respective countries, and he referred to Pierre Trudeau and Eric Barrow. Barbadians came to Canada. Many of us Many of you have been here for 30, 40, some 50 years. But you have held fast to those values which you learned from your foreparents. Respect for each other. Respect for the rule of law. Thrift in the management of your finances. A thirst for education and self-advancement. A sense of decency. Love for family. And the acknowledgement that the spiritual guidance of God is necessary to confront the challenges of everyday life. You have done your country and yourselves proud. Before we close, I want to have a look at our own front or backyard here. We feel very proud of a gentleman called Bishop Fenty. He left Barbados, priest. He came to Canada. He's now Bishop Fenty. Canon Fields, he's now Canon Fields. He left Barbados, a priest. He is now Canon Fields. And our own lady, Lucille. Lucille worked with me in Barbados at an organization. Left, I went to teach, came to Canada, and is now a principal of a school in Canada. It tells me that Canada has been able to identify quality in people and elevate them to positions to the benefit of its country and its people. I want to thank, therefore, Canada for blessing these wonderful people, and we'll also continue to pray that God will continue his good blessings on the two countries, Barbados and Canada.